Tears filled my eyes as I looked up toward my master, my teacher, my beloved friend, hanging there on that cross. Well, at this moment, I had forgotten everything that Jesus had predicted and promised about his death. Even if I had remembered, good grief, my sadness would have still overwhelmed me. For dying up on that cross was the one that my soul had loved from the first time I met him. Dying there was my beautiful dream that I had for myself and for the whole world through this wonderful Lord and Rabbi. Well, if that weren't enough agony, for one day my mind kept returning to all the ways we disciples had repeatedly failed him in these his last and most lonely of hours. When he needed us most, we failed him. Oh, mine at the bottom of that cross, my tears were many, and I couldn't stop weeping. Slowly, though, I began to be aware of sounds around me, and they penetrated the fog of my grief and misery. I turned and looked at the spectators, and they were enraged and fixated on the sign that was above Jesus' head that declared him King of the Jews. Well, I knew that many of those in the crowd were probably visiting pilgrims. They'd been there on Palm Sunday, just the Sunday before, saying Hosanna, hoping that he was the one. But now they were convinced, up on the cross, he must be an imposter. So they began to sneer and say, "Oh, you who said you would destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days, if you are the Son of God, you would come down from the cross and save yourself and rebuild the temple and overthrow the Roman army here in Jerusalem. Yes, if you did all that, Jesus, we'd believe that you're the King of the Jews and the Son of God." Well, as I stood and then turned back to look at my broken, bleeding Lord, quiet, unresponsive, I wondered if their torments, somehow deep inside, were tempting him to do just what they said, to invoke a whole legion of angels to come down and take him off the cross and to scatter the people, in shame and bring down the Roman army. And then I turned to the people. Just anger was welling up within me towards them, their scowls, their ungrounded taunts. Oh, they wouldn't speak that way to Jesus if they knew him like I did. And then I realized that their evil words sounded uncomfortably familiar to those that Satan had spoken to Jesus in the wilderness. There, our Lord had told us in the wilderness that the enemy had encouraged him and tempted him to just do what the people wanted, turn stones into bread, be spectacular, jump off buildings, play into the expectations of the crowd. Well, Jesus shunned those temptations in the wilderness, and he was shunning them now because he knew that death was the only door through which the lost and those wrapped in sin can find their way to home and freedom. And there's still more. By staying on the cross, by absorbing these thoughtless taunts, our own scriptures were being fulfilled. And none of us could see it at the time. Consider some of these words from our prayer book. "All who see me mock me. They hurl insults, shaking their heads, saying, 'He trusts in the Lord. Let the Lord rescue him. Let him deliver him, since he delights in him.'" How close those were to the words of the crowd. And then from Psalm 55, "O God, hear me. I am distraught at the voice of the enemy and at the stares of the wicked. They revile me in their anger, and they bring down suffering upon me." Our Lord knew what it was like to be taunted by the enemies. And there our Master was. He remained on the cross, quiet, unresponsive to the taunts of the crowd. But he was there not because he was weak. No, he was there because he knew he was part of God's surprising plan, a plan that would love us to the place of ultimate sacrifice. His choice to not come down from the cross, dear friends, was no accident. Rather, it was the fruit of a love that I and you will never be able to fathom.